Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the second part of our Valley Reunion recap. I am your co-host, Steele Russell, joined as always by the one and only two-part McGart. What's up? I like
That
McGart.
rhymes with fart. I don't like it. Not a whole lot. We got a lot to get into still. And wow. What are we gonna do? We're gonna talk about it all. That's what we're gonna do.
Let's get back into it. Let's jump right in.
Now. Yeah.
Bros and shows. I gotta have me my bros and shows. Bros and shows. Bros and shows. I gotta have me my bros and shows.
We do talk about his girlfriend some more, who I didn't know they were. I don't understand their relationship. It sounds like she doesn't like him very much. But before we get to their current status of relationship, we get more about what happened previously. So we know that things between Michelle and the girlfriend were not great. There was a cease and desist sent at one point. So I guess a month into their relationship, Jesse's girlfriend decides to call Michelle to talk about boundaries with Isabella. Now, there's two parts to this. One side, it's like, yes, that is the correct thing to do. You want to set parameters so you're not overstepping and you want everyone to get along. Sure. There is two things that need to happen before that. One, you need to be dating for a lot longer than a month. Two, Jesse needs to call Michelle first and have the discussion of, hey, I know we've talked about introducing people to Isabella. I've been dating this person. I would like to introduce her to Isabella. If you would like to talk to her before I make that happen, by all means, we can set that up.
That was never going to happen.
No, fuck that. But that's what should happen.
I understand, yeah. Because I'm going through it in my own head, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's really at the discretion of the parents how they want to do it. Oh, wait, we're dealing with Jesse and Michelle. Yeah, no, none of this shit's actually going to work. Nothing is going to play out hell.
They had agreed to keep them away.
The way that I kind of saw it, and yeah, I mean, they can agree to whatever they want because Jesse, the way that he operates, he's going to do whatever the fuck he wants. He wants the final say on what Michelle's doing on the other end. That's all he's worried about. And then he starts doing this whole song and dance, trying to say, I don't want another man around my daughter.
Bro,
I know what you're trying to do. I understand where you're trying to come from. That's not what you mean. You're just letting your ego get in the way, and you just want to be able to say yes or no whenever Michelle asks. But I think what probably happened, and I don't know this woman. We don't know this woman. She's not on the show ever. Jesse was probably bringing Isabella around a million fucking times. She was probably there every single time.
Sure.
And maybe the girl just started getting uncomfortable. She's like, ugh, I don't really, have you talked to Michelle about this? I don't know. Jesse being Jesse. Oh, it doesn't fucking matter what she says. I'm her father. I'll be able to do all these things. Maybe she just got to a point where she was really uncomfortable and just reached out to Michelle. Now, you already sent a cease and desist before that, so probably not.
Yeah, that's a lot of credit.
We keep running into these fucking dead ends because of these people. That's the worst part. You try to think logically, you try to just work through it and try to understand the situation, and then you realize who you're dealing with, and you're like, ugh, no, that's not what happens.
That's certainly
not at all what happens. God.
I agree, but listening to him spin this geez, I can't talk today. This misogynistic approach, like you said, I hear what he's trying to do, but what he doesn't understand is he is now saying that the bond between father and daughter is different than that of a mother and daughter and held to a different standard. It's like, dude, do you hear what you're saying right now? You're saying that your relationship is more important than the mother's relationship, and a man coming into her life is more impactful than another woman coming into her life. That makes no fucking sense. And he's like, because somebody calls out, it's like, that's misogynist or sexist. And he's like, nah, maybe it is. It's like, no, it full blown is.
It is. I just want one time when somebody says something like that, when they get into like the mother saying, I carried her around for 9 months. I made all of these exceptions and changed my lifestyle and all of these things to be pregnant. I want one misogynist guy to turn around and say, I carried her in my balls forever. That would be so fucking funny.
Jesse would do that. He would say something like that and then try to act like it was not a big deal and then apologize a week later.
Yeah.
Like that's
you came from me. You were just the vessel.
Exactly. That's like, I could literally see him saying that.
That would be so funny though.
And I could see like a side conversation of him talking to like Jax and explaining his side. And Jax being like, I mean, you're right. You're totally right. Like,
dude, you're so right. Wow.
Like, I mean,
can we get vasectomies? Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Let's go together. I'll hold your balls. But anyway, the rumors about his girlfriend talking some shit seemingly are confirmed for me, because like Brittany's a lot of things. She's a bad friend, and I do think that she spins certain things a little bit. She's not a liar. Like, she doesn't flat out lie about things. Like, she might
Mhm.
twist it a little bit, but she doesn't lie. So when she
No.
says, I heard her talking about you, I wasn't sure. I got confused. Was she saying that I heard how she talked to you, or I heard how she talked about you?
It seemed like both. It seemed like a very, like,
Maybe, yeah.
I don't really understand. I didn't really get it either. Um, I don't know. It was sort of I really didn't know what to make of this, honestly,
No.
because it
I
wasn't supportive to Michelle, but it was putting Jesse down, but putting him down gently because you felt bad for him. And I think the best way to summarize the whole thing is Jesse's response. I appreciate that you felt bad and all of the feelings that you felt towards me, but no, that's just not like
I don't need you to
okay.
feel bad, and
It
that never
was
happened.
bizarre. Yeah. Like, was this woman just walking around talking about bagging the Baywatch guy like the entire party? And they're like,
That would be really
oh, this
funny.
is kind of fucking weird.
What about Jesse? Oh, that guy sucks.
Yeah.
That guy's
He's not
brutal.
he's not Baywatch.
Yeah, but I believe that he was talking, or that she was talking some shit about him. And I to me it sounds like he is alone. He's up shit's creek without a paddle. He
Mhm.
needs her to like him in his head because he simply has nothing else going for him at the moment. So it's like,
Yeah.
she didn't say that. You're stupid, and I don't care about you feeling bad for me. I'm fine. I'm totally fine. Everything's fine. Let me go call my attorney myself. Oof.
Well, I think the dream of next season being the two of them trying to work on their relationship and getting back together is probably sailed. I
And it
don't
needs
think
to,
that's
for
gonna
her
happen.
sake.
It definitely needs
Like,
to.
we don't
It
need
would
that
be
to
fucking
happen
hilarious, but yeah,
if
I
they
don't think
start to
that's
rekindle something. But no, she needs to run. She needs to get far away from him.
she can go with Nia and Danny. Just get
And
out there,
like,
Santa Clarita.
yeah, let's start a new show. SC.
Oh, I
Like,
don't. I'm supporting Michelle, but I don't think she's very interesting, so I don't really need her on the show.
no, I'm just saying. I was saying she could go out there and live a life in Santa Clarita, and they
Yeah,
could put it on TLC or something. But Jesse's response to all of this is to try to take a shot at Michelle, who wasn't involved in this. And he goes, "Yeah, well, at least you didn't take the money, unlike Aaron." It's like, okay. Uh, well, Aaron was on the show frequently. Aaron's dating
yeah.
somebody on the show. I will say this about Aaron. He didn't seem to be fame hungry. Like, I didn't get that vibe from him,
No,
but he agreed to be on it. He supported ish Michelle. I think
I
he
think
could
he
have done a
liked to
much
be
better job.
involved. Like he
Yeah, he
enjoyed
definitely jumped in.
talking
I
to
actually,
other people.
now that I say that, I'm pulling it
I don't
back.
think it, but it wasn't in a fame hungry way. So I think you were
Yeah,
right. He didn't seem like he was always looking for the camera like other people on this show that have cameos. He was more just kind of floating around. I think he just liked being involved. Even
yeah. It
the
bothered
thought
me
that
when
I
he
have
jumped in.
in the beginning of the season
Yeah,
when he jumped in and tried to tell Jesse how to be a dad. No, what I'm thinking is in Hawaii after Kristen and Luke got engaged when he inserted himself and like, yeah, bug-eyed and then gave Luke a huge hug and congratulated him and talked about a bunch of shit. That's the one thing that I think of, but I think he was just probably a little drunk.
yeah,
So
and
I'll let it slide.
it's just funny that he brought that up. Jesse's like, "Yeah, well," and in my head, I'm like, "Well, if he was on the show that much, like he should take the money. Like, why?
Jesse's,
why?
Jesse's like 0 for 7 at this point, by the way.
Yeah,
Every little dig that he takes is a complete whiff.
yeah. Here's 20 grand, Aaron. No, no, thank you.
Absolutely not. Give it to a
Gross.
charity.
Yeah, fuck out of here. What? Not that you shouldn't give money to charity.
Yeah, that was a wild response to that.
That's not what I meant. You know what I meant.
Clip it.
Clip
Somebody
it.
clip it.
Please don't clip that. You know what I meant. Of course, give money to charity. Aaron's saying, "Give me the $20,000." Maybe he did give it to charity. Maybe he has a charity. Honey for the kids. This is
Oh,
getting worse.
no. I was going to say something way worse, and I'm not doing it.
This went south in a hurry.
Yeah.
Where am I in the notes here? What's it gonna be like when Jax has to witness Brittany introducing another man to Cruz? And
Worst
of
day of my
course,
life.
of
Brings
course,
me
it's
back
gonna
to
be
it
that.
the day my dad died.
Yeah, that's probably he didn't say that, but that's probably going to come out.
Did you see the cameo that was circulating? Somebody said or got a cameo from Jax to help their friend get past the passing of their dad. Whether or not that was true, I don't know if that I think this was just setting Jax
Somebody
up.
set it up.
You know what? I'd love to be one of those people that's going to tell you things are going to get better. You're going to get back to living your life, but it never gets better. Your life just sucks. It's just complete hell every day. It was wild.
Oh
dude.
my god, that sounds like a
I
setup
would
to
say
me.
I would say like he just seems like a dude who's given up, but like he's gonna live until he's like 100.
Oh,
And
without a doubt, he's gonna be
he's gonna be
120.
around longer than all of us.
Yeah, that's just how it goes. You know how it goes. But we get a Jax therapy montage all the way back to the Vanderpump days because he's talking about how he's in therapy now and everything's
Mm-hmm.
working out and he's on the right path. And I'm glad they did this because you get to hear everything he's saying now 10 years ago, 8 years ago, 6 years
Mm-hmm.
ago, 2 years ago. Like this has been the same song and dance for so long. And we've had a couple people in the comments try to say like, "Oh, you need sympathy, this and that." It's like, no, and this is why. Because
Not for
this is
Jax.
this
Oh.
is the same shit that we've been watching forever. So
Didn't he hook up with that Reiki healer too from VPR?
yes,
The whole
yes,
thing? Yeah.
that was a whole different issue. So again, it's like you have this slew of quote unquote therapists, but none of them were like actual therapists. And now you're saying
No.
that you've been with one for a while. So whatever, but this whole song and dance of, I wish I did it a long time ago. It's like you said this every single time that you've gone through an
Yep.
episode, and here we are again. And I'm glad that Brittany's like, it doesn't change shit. Like I'm immovable on this whole thing, and you should be because like same shit, different day, same shit,
Yeah.
different day. But before we dive fully into the Jax and Britney stuff, and we'll probably have to do a two-parter.
Yeah.
This is long. We'll do that at the end. But before we dive fully into the Jax and Britney stuff, we got to cover a couple little more. And again, like you said, I'm glad they did this. Like they sprinkled things in throughout this episode. So
Yeah.
after this, I think we go like full throttle into everything. But the friendship between Doute, Luke, and Jesse comes up because obviously season 1, we saw a lot of shenanigans. We saw Jesse slam his fists, tell Kristen to shut the fuck up, try to attack Luke.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I still take Luke in that one. I think Luke would sit him down.
Luke would. Yeah, I think he would. I just love that clip so much because Zach gets shoved out of the way.
Yeah, his face
so-
afterwards, where he's like,
Ugh.
"What the fuck?" I always enjoy it, but when Doty reached out to Jesse via text message, he claims it caused him to look inward and his role in everything that happened last year. And Doty talks about going over to his house because we were all like, "Whoa," when it happened. And then she goes over there. Jesse takes accountability for everything that happened. I guess my question to you is, how real was all of that? And I have my opinion on it. I'll save it.
50-50.
Like how real?
It was.
You think it was
It
50-50?
was 50-50. He wanted to get dirt on Michelle. He wanted to piss Michelle off for sure. But I also think genuinely he probably was in a place that he's in pretty much right now, where he's talking about all these fires around them and how lonely he is. He probably looked at that as like Kristen might be a good friend to have. So at least he has that. And I think it did change a little bit. I think he did actually grow to like Kristen and Luke. And I think they grew to like him a lot more. Because you can even tell in this scene, it's like, all right, this is, I think, Michelle's only misstep because I don't think she worded it correctly. I think if she worded it the way that pretty much I just walked through it, where it's like, yeah, he was only hanging out with you because he wanted to get dirt on me. He wanted to find out more about the person that I was dating.
Well, it grew from there.
But then it grew from there. I think that's probably the approach. Instead, she goes the way of saying that Kristen is being manipulated into friendship, which it's Kristen Doty. She is not being manipulated into friendship. I can tell you that much.
That was the funniest part when she said that's immediately what I thought. I was like, yeah, she's not getting manipulated. And then she's like, I don't really get manipulated. I was like, yeah, no. You can say a lot about it. That's
there.
Exactly. So I agree with you. And I'm not going to knock her for it. I think she misspoke in what she was trying to say. And I also think that it's got to be hard because she's friends with Doty, and then seeing Jesse kind of slither his way in there, I'm sure she
kind
feels
of friends. I don't think either of them were really like close to her before the show started filming, though. I don't think they really knew her at all.
No, okay. I thought they were.
Not necessarily, yeah. Or at least with Michelle and Doty, I don't think they ever really had much of a friendship because we never really heard anything about that. We always hear about Janet and Doty's friendship all the time because that's like such a big focus point. But But no, with this one in particular, I think that either of them probably could have reached out to Doute and been friends with her. It's just that Jesse got there first.
Yeah, and I think that Janet swings and misses here too, because I've said multiple times, and Michelle brings up the fact that he can cry on command, and like I believe that, and I think that a lot of his tears are fake. The one moment that Janet tried to use, I was like, that one, I don't know, because she's like, well, that one time, she said, "Oh, come on, Jesse," and your tears dried up pretty quick. Even Jason was like, well, given the circumstances, like they're getting separated and it's the first time that they're not going to be together for the holidays. So like I could see that. And I'm like, I could too. If all the things like if a
if it
tear
wasn't
slipped out,
Jason that said it, I would have agreed. But
that's fair.
yeah, I don't know.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
no, I do think I think that was probably the worst example because there are a lot of examples of him
There's good
crying.
examples.
There's a lot, even if you go back to season 1, there's a lot of examples of him crying. So not that one. That one's a little tough because I don't think he was crying about Michelle. He wasn't crying about the relationship. He's crying about his daughter not being there for certain holidays. Which,
Yeah,
that's a different animal entirely.
100%. But let's tee this one off. I've said that 5 times. That's the word.
It off.
That's the phrase of the day is let's tee it off, boys. That's not what it is. It's just let's talk about the boys chat. That's what I was going to say. This fucking boys chat that we've heard about. I actually liked that we got the whole like storyline of it. It started at Tom Schwartz's wedding. It started out just because we wanted to check in and see who everybody was because we lived on little houses near each other or whatever. It's like, no,
whatever.
No, it was just dirty, gross shit. They were setting like,
you guys were probably just talking about people who looked hot at the wedding.
Yeah.
Or people that looked bad at the wedding, probably.
Or I'm trying to hook up with this bridesmaid and then sent like a picture of her, like stuff like that. But we get confirmation about how dirty this text is or text group is. Like Brittany's seen it because Jax went to her. This is what blows my mind when it comes to Jesse, and maybe he can't afford to lose any more friends. He's a lot of things, but he doesn't seem dumb to me, And I just don't understand, or maybe he just knows Jax well enough to not take it personally. But Brittany's like, I saw everything in that text, and Jax hated Jesse. Like he used to say horrible things about him. He'd say horrible things all the time, and blah blah blah. It's like, as Jesse sitting there, are you not taking that into consideration? You skewered Danny for letting something leak that actually probably should have been brought to people's attention, and now Jax is doing it, showing Brittany every single text ever sent in there, and we don't have any energy for him.
No, yeah, we kind of said that at the time too, because I think even Nia had stepped in and Michelle said something. They all knew about the group text. They've all read the group text. They all want nothing to do with the group text.
Yeah.
But they all seem to know the ins and outs of what they're talking about because their husbands or boyfriends or whoever are mentioning it to them, are talking about certain things. This one, I don't know. I really don't know if Jesse just kind of missed this one because it could be chalked up as Brittany's just talking shit and trying to drive a wedge between Jax and any of his friends to try to get them all to hate him. But
Maybe.
I didn't really get that. I kind of believed Brittany, when she's talking about all of this. I think Jesse just doesn't really have the energy for it. I think that's really all it is.
I don't think you can afford to lose another friend because he's so damn lonely. But
oh, great, another fire.
Yeah, I'm starting another fire here. God damn, you know what? Nope. Sidestep that one. And obviously, we know that the big text to come out of this season was when Danny let slip that Jesse was alluding to the fact that Michelle was a paid escort, and that's how she was paying her bills at the moment. Now, the one thing I need to highlight before we talk about that text is Jax quotes a very, very famous misogynist. And I love that he quoted him, and it's so fucking par for the course that he would quote him. Because it's locker room talk. Where have we heard that one before? Apparently, Jax is also grabbing people by the pussy, but whatever. We don't need to get into that whole thing. But it was like that for me was such a funny fucking moment. I'm like, of fucking course you would say that. That is nail on the head.
Nia's face right after he said it pretty much just said it all. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, you fucking moron.
Like, as if this wasn't bad enough, you're really going to call it that? Okay, great. Yeah, awesome. It is what it is. We knew exactly what it was. Confirmation, I guess, if you needed it. I don't think many people out there really needed it, but sure, why not? Yeah, it's more just about, hey, Danny, how'd that slip? Why'd you let that one out? Why are you telling people what's going on here? I don't know. I don't know which way to believe. Did you really think that he thought that they were done? They were wrapped. They weren't filming anymore? Or do you think he wanted to let it out? I don't think he wanted it to get out. I think he was just telling Luke.
Here's the thing. And this is what was interesting to me when it came up is like I think that he has to know, or maybe it was like a lapse in judgment in a specific moment, like thinking they were
Yeah.
wrapped. But my big thing with it is I don't think it's bad that that got out. I don't think that he's
No.
feeling like upset about getting kicked out of the fucking boys chat. So for Janet on the side to be like, he's an actor. He knew it, that like how mics work. It's like, yeah, but that's not like a I got you moment. That was him like saying that Jesse's calling his wife a escort. I don't
Yeah.
know.
And
So like the go ahead.
people are treating it like Danny did something bad to Michelle. Like
Correct.
the fact that came out, and it's like Danny's not the problem here. Jesse's the problem. This boys chat is the problem. We should have gotten more into what people said back to Jesse after he said that. And I don't believe that Jesse regretted it immediately after sending it. Like he said,
No.
he wanted to shit talk. And that's probably what that group is. It's more about who said what after that,
Yeah.
who actually added to it, because that's not how that works, especially in a group of those fucking idiots. They're all probably talking about it, and they probably made jokes even further. So let's find out who else is talking shit about it. Let's see the group chat. So Danny letting it out, he's not the problem here. This isn't really like a, oh, fuck Danny. Like, yeah, if you're in the group chat, you're going to be pissed because he let that out. Now people are talking about it. But anybody else trying to say that he's doing anything bad to Michelle is crazy.
That's
I
the
don't think so
vibe
at
I
all.
got
think
from
it's
Janet.
awareness. Yeah.
It's like, what's the problem? Like, what are you digging at him about that for? And that's what
Whatever.
really made me apprehensive for the next episode.
Janet's
like,
probably in the boys chat.
Honestly, anytime Jason responds, it's probably Janet.
It's probably just Janet. Yeah.
Yeah. Because he'd be like, here, babe, I don't want to get in trouble. Here's the boys chat. But anywho, we talk a little bit more about Jesse's finances and who's lending him money. We still don't get confirmation of that. We heard earlier in the season that a gay man was paying him or Venmoing
I wanted more
him.
on this.
I don't know why. Like, we got scenes from the reunion earlier.
It's got to be in the next.
It has to be, right? Like, we need an answer to like who's paying his rent.
They'll probably, because right now it seems like this whole first episode is just how do we get here? What are you guys doing? How are the divorces going? And then I think we'll probably get into the actual specifics when we get into the second episode, where they talk about things that happened this season, because we really didn't get a whole lot of that. You know, obviously we're just touching on the boys group chat now, but I do think that'll still be in it. That would be weird if they included it in the trailer and just kind of cut it, because right now seems like the best time to talk about it, right?
You would think. And I think that this was the most telling scene for me. I mean, not that I wasn't Team Michelle throughout this, but this one was the best depiction of it, I think, because we get the whole situation of when they get separated, when Michelle moved out. Because, and the way that Jesse tries to spin it once again is like, oh, we came to an agreement, or like we talked this, that. What actually happened, I believe this to be 100% true. Jesse put his foot down and said, I'm not fucking leaving this house. You can find somewhere else to live, or you can live downstairs. So he kicked her out of the bedroom. He slept in the master. She slept in the living room. It was so unbearable that she left knowing she would have to pay 2 rents in California, in LA. She did that just to get out of the house. But the way Jesse's trying to talk about it is as though he didn't do anything wrong. It's like, that's not what happened. It's like, you definitely said that verbatim.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said, I'm sure. And all right, I'm finally going to say it. He was probably weaponizing his daughter too. He was probably saying, what do you want? What do you want Isabella to live in a smaller house? Then what are we supposed to do here? You want us to move out? I don't want her to do that. And just pretty much like what Brittany said when it comes to Cruz, going from Airbnb to Airbnb to Airbnb with my son, that's awful. That's not a thing that we really want to do. So I do think he probably did that in this situation, which made things a lot harder for Michelle, but good for her. I mean, she's still, it's sort of like dealing with somebody like Jesse. You're gonna just have to pay. And wouldn't you rather just pay that money so that you can at least get some peace and quiet, go to your own place, have some sort of structure, start talking about, going back and forth between the house and Isabella and whatever, figure all of that shit out. But living there, it's sort of like Ralph in the basement. It's just miserable. It is such a weird situation. You don't want to do it for too long because you'll start going crazy. So good for her.
100%. Yeah. And it takes a lot of strength to do that and uproot your daughter to get away
Yeah.
from a bad situation. So, yeah, hats off to her for that. And we finally get into Jax and Britney, like really start to dive in. And I believe we'll pick up right where we left off for a lot of episode 2, because there's obviously a lot to talk about here. But we
Yeah.
get a recap of the last straw, the last night when Jax was throwing tables. And it all stems from seeing these texts from Julian, and the time frame doesn't fucking matter. She's
No.
like, a month after separating, I started. He's like, no, it was earlier than that. It's like, it doesn't matter. You were separated.
Whatever.
It could have been 2 days afterwards. It's irrelevant. And Andy asks a very good question here. He's like, well, did you guys agree, like, no friends, like stay out of the friend group? And he's like, well, I just figured that was implied. But the fact that the conversation wasn't had, the fact that Julian and Jax had been hanging out for 1 year, it's not like she hooked up with your best friend, but he's making it seem like that. And then we get more about what happened. And I'm glad that this is all coming out. And this is probably more of the reason he's not coming back, because she goes over everything. He threw my phone and broke it. He threw my laptop and broke it. He threw me into the rose bushes, that we have proof of this from the Ring camera.
I do think that they skipped over that pretty quickly, especially if she
agree.
has the fucking footage of it.
I agree. And I think that's why I said earlier that has to be part of why he's not coming back, because I would imagine production and people there were like, oh, fuck. Like, that's throwing the table into her leg is domestic abuse. It's awful. It's horrible. I think that when you hear that he physically pushed her, like not through something that hit her, but he actually put hands on her and shoved her into it. It's no different in my mind. It's abuse is abuse, but you can't explain that one away. So I hope at the very least, since they didn't do a good job of addressing it, and Andy did miss on that one entirely, and that's upsetting, at least I hope that people there in that room or going through the editing room are like, oh shit, this can't happen. This needs to be addressed. So I agree. They did whiff on that entirely. I'm just hoping that it at least had like a carryover effect.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
And while this is all going on, he's vehemently denying it. And this just shows you, like, all of this stupid shit that he's doing, all of the fake tears, all of the woe is me victim shit is a lie, because he did all of these things and continues to deny it. If he was actually in recovery, actually following the steps, then he would be like, yep. Sorry. I'm trying to work on myself and get better. That all being said, I will say one thing, and it's important for me as somebody in recovery to say this. The proof that he's not doing drugs, the weekly drug tests, those kinds of things, I'll give him credit there, because he is clearly not using drugs if the drug tests are coming back negative. So I'm not going to take away from that. And maybe that's a decent first step into actually getting this under control, because I don't I don't wish it on anybody. And I wanted to make sure that I at least said that if he's staying clean, that's a great start. But he has about a million other things to do before I'm going to be like, he's doing a good job. But it's a good start.
Yeah. And even him going as far to say, I like that she knows. I like that she has drug tests, in the back of your head, just dealing with Jax for so long. That at some point it's going to arise where he's going to say, I'm not taking a fucking drug test. I'm not doing this shit. So he says it now. And again, like, not giving him credit or anything. I don't care which way he wants to spin it, because we know that he's not doing it because he says it holds him accountable. That's not the root of this. The root of this
he's still claiming that drugs and alcohol aren't the problem, which is a huge problem.
Yeah, he definitely is. But he's doing this and he's giving Brittany the power so that he in turn can say, what are you so mad at me for? I'm clean. What's the deal? I'm giving you all this power. He's doing it so that he can turn the things around on him or turn the tables back on him. But I don't care, because it's keeping you clean. So that's the whole thing. Maybe at some point, while you're trying to manipulate the situation by proving to Brittany that you're being clean so that you have the upper hand, you'll actually be clean for long enough where you can start working on shit. There's a possibility. There is a world in which that might work out. I don't know if we live in that world, but it might work. Who knows?
Maybe. And at the end of the day, it's all for Cruz's sake. They're already going to have God knows how long of a road to recover from everything he's already been through. And if he sees this stuff when he's older, they're going to have to rehash this whole thing. But, as you say that, it's like, yeah, he's using this so that, or in my head, and I hope I'm wrong, but it feels like, as you said, he's using this so that when Brittany's like, you can't see Cruz, he's going to say, oh, she's not letting me. I'm doing everything she wants. I'm taking drug tests. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. She won't let me see my kid. And the reason that she's not letting you might be because your anger's out of control or you're bringing girls around him. Like, who knows what it is? But in your back pocket, you'll have, I'm clean. You're making me take drug tests and you still won't let me see him. I hope I'm wrong, everybody. Like, I'm not trying to rip somebody apart that's like in the throes of addiction. It's just on the flip side of that, watching him navigate it this season and use it as a crutch and an excuse has been deplorable and really difficult for somebody in recovery. But I wanted to make sure I got that out of the way so people don't think I'm like actively rooting for him to relapse, because I'm not, obviously. But anywho, Brittany and Julian, I guess they hooked up like 3 times a week. She's like, we weren't dating. And I was like, that's a lot of hooking up weekly. But hey, you do you. And I think the biggest thing that came from that is, as she says, my self-confidence and self-worth was non-existent because you, Jax Taylor, treated me like shit, put me down, never touched me, called me a fucking tree trunk because of my stretch marks after having your child. That's bananas. That's crazy. And again, what does he do? I never said that. Everybody there goes, we've seen the text, Jax. We've seen the fucking text. So like, just shut up then. Like, if you're not going to cop to it, just don't say anything. Just sit there quietly. Like, it's so fucking annoying.
No, he's trying to, we already talked about this in the beginning of the episode, but he's trying to do that thing where he's just allowing her to just agree with it. Like, he's just agreeing with everything. He says he's sorry. He gets to the point where he says, she's the victim. I'm not the victim here. I have to understand that. It's like, okay, you can see everybody on the cast, the people who like Janet and Jason, who for whatever reason are in his corner, are like, wow, that's really big of you, Jax, for saying that. I just like the flashing down to Zach and Jasmine at the end of the couch. Like, you fucking kidding me? Are we doing this again? Like, seriously.
That's the correct response until he proves otherwise via actions. Like, everything he says is completely worthless. And it's just so on par with the character of Jason and Janet, the 3 J's, as we've talked about all season, for them to be like, oh, good for you. It's like, shut up. Like, if you're actually friends, you'd hold them to a different standard, and you're not doing that. And then we get what we were inevitably going to get, is the sob story. I pushed her away, I caused so much pain. And I think that it got really bad when I got fired from VPR and I turned on Brittany because she was making all this money. And, as a man, it's like, oh God, here we fucking go, dude. Like, to me, for somebody like Jax, it makes a lot more sense that he would be cool with this, because you have a sugar mama and you can go do whatever the fuck you want to do. So for him to have this, the funny part of it all is he's trying to reason with both the cast and the audience. Like, you guys get it, like, as a man, like, it's like, no, you would have been homeless without her. So
we
you
don't
should
agree
be
with that with normal people who are complaining about those things. Like,
never.
You could throw the most normal person on Bravo into the situation and they could say that and we'd be like, fuck off. What are you talking about? We're definitely not going to agree with Jax. Are you kidding me?
Fuck no. But the way he's talking, it's like, you guys get it. It's like, not really, dumbass. Then we get more info on the custody agreement. She agreed to every Wednesday and every other weekend.
Alternating weekends, which, you know what? That's huge. That's huge for Jax. So whatever.
And he should take that. And he does, seemingly. And he's like, that's where the drug tests come up. But then he falls down again because he's like, the last thing I want to do is uproot our son. It's like, brother, you kicked them out of the house. They lived it. They went Airbnb hopping, which they could afford because Brittany makes
is
money.
Revisionist history. Like, he wanted to stay in that house. Then he didn't want to stay in that house. Now he's saying it's best for him to stay in a house like that. Like, what are you fucking talking about? We watched you all season talk about how Brittany doesn't deserve to be in that house and how she's not going to be able to handle it. And a woman doesn't need 4 bedrooms. And now she's trying to prove, which, you know what? I don't think that Brittany necessarily needed to do this because it just gives Jax more ammo. But sending him pictures of the flowers to be like, look, I can handle this. It's like, don't even give him that. Just don't even bother. There's no reason to do these things. But him saying that is laughable. It's like, what? We just watched you contradict yourself in real time all season. And now you're saying this as if we don't remember what you said 6 weeks ago.
That's a good way to describe him. He seems to think that we all forget. If he says something, we're going to be like, oh, okay. Oh, I thought something different, but you're right, dude. My bad.
My bad.
And it ends with the rehab conversation. I went to rehab, and I'm glad Andy points out, well, you went twice to rehab, quote unquote rehab, because, and here's a glimpse into recovery, everyone.
I think the second one was a real rehab.
It was,
according
yeah.
to sources, yeah.
And I'm not taking away from that. I will say this. This isn't like a shit on Jax moment. This is just a recovery teaching moment where there's certain things that are very important when you're in recovery, especially like your first year of recovery is so crucial. And one of the biggest things is just simply lying. Just lying. And it could be about little tiny things. You know, he admits to relapsing, but the time frame changes. You know, it's like 2 weeks, because 2 weeks sounds better than a few days after. It's like, it doesn't matter. And that's the thing. You're still trying to spin it to make yourself come off not as bad. But at the end of the day, whether it's 2 weeks or a month, you relapsed. And look, relapse is part of the recovery process. It happens to a lot of people that are then go on to be sober for the rest of their lives. Like, it doesn't make you bad because you relapsed. It's unfortunately part of it. So when I hear those things, you know, the lying about timelines, lying about little things that really don't matter, that's when I'm like, well, it's not working. He's not seeing it. And he went to rehab again, and he still comes out and says drugs and alcohol aren't the problem. They'll tell you that in rehab. Like, the symptoms are drugs and alcohol. What you're going through causes
he's doing the same
that.
thing. He learned new things about addiction, and he's spewing that out there. And it's like, that's again what you learn in the first week at rehab, and you're just using that to then motivate yourself later to be like, oh, it's not my problem.
Yeah, it's not
I
drugs
just have to
and
get my
alcohol.
anger under control. And here's the problem: you keep saying anger is your problem. We're not watching you work on your anger. So what, you're just accepting it? You're just seceding to the anger inside of you, and you're like, I'm never going to be able to change. So this is just what's going to happen. I'm going to be clean and sober. But we find out that you're clean and sober, but you're still picking fights with Brittany and still going overboard and still using your anger. You're not working on that. So you just keep saying you're working on it and keep pointing to drugs and alcohol, saying that those are things that you use as coping mechanisms, but you're not working on the anger. So you've identified the problem. You're just not doing anything.
What's that? What movie is that? Identify the problem. Fuck, I forget. But I think that's the perfect line from Brittany was, well, if this wasn't the cause, then what is? Are you on steroids? Like, what's going on? Because it hasn't changed. And he's like, well, it's gotten better. And it's like, not really, because the way that she describes it is what we watched during the season. There'd be a day where you're trying to be nice, you're trying to be calm, you're trying to talk to her, and then they go on a trip and you're sending rage text from quote unquote rehab the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, that's the same behavior as what she's explaining now. He came over for Easter. Everything was cool. And then the next day he's going through my shit. He's counting my condoms, and he's saying horrible things to me. So it's like, none of that sounds different. None of that makes me look at it and go, oh, he's changing. And like you said, if the root's the anger, go to an anger management rehab. Like, there is that. Go to a facility to get that taken care of. Don't just address the drugs and alcohol portion, because the other part is you can be a dry drunk, which means that you are not sober. You just haven't drank in an extended period of time. But until you actually address the what and the why and the how, you are not actually fully in recovery, because you are still going to revert back to your past tendencies, because you haven't learned a different way to do it. That's what it sounds like to me, and that's alarming. I will say this again, because at the end of the episode, I don't believe his tears, but I will say this. Like, yeah, he is a human being at the end of the day. And yeah, if he can get it fixed and sorted out, obviously I want that to happen. I don't wish addiction on anybody, not my worst enemy. So for the sake of Cruz, like, I don't give a fuck about Jax Taylor anymore, but for the sake of Cruz and for the sake of a human life, I hope he's able to finally get ahead of this thing and address it. And not for the show, not for Brittany, not for anything else, but himself and his son. And that doesn't happen on the camera. That doesn't happen at a reunion. It doesn't happen on social media. It doesn't happen on a podcast tour. It happens when you close the fucking doors, turn off the fucking screens, and just address your problems. And if he's able to do that ever, I will be the first one to, at the very least, say, okay, congratulations. But until that happens, like, asking me to have sympathy for him is next to impossible.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And one last thing on him, just I think what he's doing with the drugs and alcohol thing, he's sober. He probably feels better.
Yeah.
But he's using that and he's misidentifying himself doing better because he feels so much better. He's probably having a normal life. He's having, a normal whatever, going through the things that he goes through without drugs and alcohol. And he's realizing, wow, I'm doing so much better because I'm not leaning on drugs and alcohol, but you're still doing the things. So you probably feel like you're doing better because you feel better, but you're really not.
Perfectly said.
So
Perfectly
all right.
said. But
let's get to some
preguntas.
questions. Yeah. This is a really good question from Raven H12. Why doesn't it upset Britt that her bestie Janet and Jason stand up for Jax all the time? That's a really good point, because we always talk about Janet's always been a good friend to me. Why am I going to turn on her? She's never been a bad friend. She's being a bad friend by supporting Jax.
Absolutely. I don't know. And I'm curious why that doesn't come up. I don't know or understand why Brittany's so enamored with Janet. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me. And that's a very good point. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's really good. Yeah, a lot of people in the comments are saying that they just glossed over the rose bush incident.
Yeah, and it's important to address that. I mean, no, they're not wrong at all. I like this one.
From go ahead.
From Daria PNG, why is Jesse more likable than Jax? Question for Jesse's biggest fan, aka Shooter.
I was actually going to ask that question. That's the exact question that I was looking at. Because
he's charming and charismatic.
And there's no domestic violence involved. That's a pretty easy one, I would imagine.
Fair.
From Design, why was Zach seated in the nosebleed seat? I don't know. I think that he definitely brought more than. Let's see, who's on that side? Janet and Jason. He would definitely be ahead of Jasmine. I don't understand. The seating arrangement's bizarre. There's only like 4 or 5 people on the left. Yeah, Jax and Britney being first seat's kind of wild. I don't know. I think probably, if I had to guess, they did this reunion so early on. It was like the episode 3. They were already doing it. Zach didn't really get involved till the end of the season, so they didn't really know how it was going to play with the audience, probably. So pushing him up a little bit further wouldn't have made sense at the time. I don't really think it's shade, though.
Yeah. Let's see. We got a double question here. I'll ask them both. The same from Ryan Stoneman 83 and from Jill M. Williams. Why does Janet have to make a comment about everything? I don't know. She seems to think that she's like the spokesperson for the group.
She involves herself in everybody's fucking conflicts except for her own. And then when people turn and talk about her conflicts, she runs away and starts making shit up. So I don't know.
I like this. It's nothing to do with this, but it's a funny one from Jackie Spence. Prediction: Will Sheena divorce Brock? Question mark. We are under the impression that this was a move to sell books. So
sell books. I think it's her application to get on the Valley, of course. So what I will say is, if we have to endure Sheena and Brock on a TV show like The Valley, and they go through a spit spat and maybe get to a divorce, we'll have to talk about it. Then I'll care. Right now, I don't give a fuck what they do.
Agreed. From Nerdy Bird 315, did you catch a vibe that Kristen is no longer okay with Jesse? I think that Kristen's probably recognizing what Michelle's going through more, much like a lot of people watching the show.
Definitely.
And like the thing with Kristen is, as we see with Jax, like she won't bail on a friendship, but she will hold you accountable. So I don't know. I think that she's probably seeing it through Michelle's perspective a little bit more. And so being less agreeable would make the most sense to me.
Yeah, I'll do this one last from Mel 660, or just Melanie, and the 6s are A's. I don't know. Who from the cast do you think pays attention to online/Reddit noise?
I was gonna say Jax, but Jesse.
Jesse, clearly. Janet, of course. Weirdly, I think Zach probably does, but like in a funny way, where he just looks for different things and laughs about them.
That's what we do.
I think that's probably it, to be honest. I don't think anybody else is really like concerned about it.
Yeah, they don't strike me as like living in the comment section for the most part.
Yeah. The Jays, Jax, Jesse, Janet, Jason by proxy.
This one's funny from Kay Looker Woods. Was Michelle super unlikable to anyone else's reunion? I know she's right, but ick. Like you can't fault
She
her
is right
for being who she is.
I know. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, that's what I said. Like, if she was on a different show, I wouldn't really care because she's just like she's not very interesting. I really don't care about her, but she is right.
She is right. The most important thing, guys, is that she is right. Okay,
Correct.
let's not lose the plot on this one. And just
Yeah.
don't be charmed like Shooter was by Jesse all season.
What do you mean was?
Is currently still. The last one from Nikki 2H. When a guy's a piece of shit on a show, I can't wait to hear the bros tear into him. Hashtag fuck Jax. Yep.
Hell yeah.
We enjoy it too. Weirdly.
Yes, we do.
You know, it's fun. It's fun to dive into that shit. But yeah. Yeah, anyway. This is gonna be a doozy of a reunion. It's a great start. I thought they did a nice job, as we talked about, but I'm very curious where we're gonna go next.
No idea, but there's a lot to get into. So we'll be here every step of the way.
Got anything else?
No.
That's our show. Bros gotta go.